Imagine you're sitting in front of a magic lamp, and out pops a genie, except this genie is an AI like ChatGPT. Instead of 3 wishes, you have unlimited questions, but there's a catch. How you phrase your wish determines what kind of answer you get. If you've ever felt that ChatGPT misunderstood your request or provided a less than stellar answer, you know the feeling. What if the secret to unlocking truly amazing answers is simply asking the right way? Hello and welcome. Today, we're delving into the fascinating world of PromptCraft, essentially the art of talking to AI to get the best out of it. In a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence, those who know how to speak to machines can shape the next generation of innovation and creativity. That might sound like a tall order, but it's really about learning some clever, practical tricks in how you communicate. Just as choosing the right words can make all the difference in a conversation with a friend, the same applies to your conversations with ChatGPT. We're about to explore PromptCraft, Mastering the Art of ChatGPT Prompting by Ethan Williams, a guide that shows how a few tweaks in your questions can transform ChatGPT from a basic answer machine into a creative problem-solving partner. Over the next minutes, you'll discover why prompting is such a superpower. You'll hear hints of how mastering this skill can lead to better, more insightful responses from ChatGPT. We'll touch on practical tips, like how to give clear context or use just the right tone that can turn a confusing AI reply into, "Wow, that's exactly what I needed" moment. Essentially, you'll get a sneak peek at a new way to talk to AI, one that can make your interactions feel smoother and more productive, almost like you've learned the secret language to communicate with your digital assistant. Whether you're completely new to ChatGPT or you've been tinkering with it for a while, this introduction will spark your curiosity about what's possible when you master the craft of prompting. By the end of this brief introduction, you'll be excited about the journey ahead, because who wouldn't want to feel like an AI whisperer, getting their AI to answer with just the insight or creativity they were hoping for? In fact, prompt engineering has quickly become one of the most in-demand skills in our AI-driven world, and for good reason. It empowers you to unlock the full potential of tools like ChatGPT by simply refining how you ask questions. So, get comfortable and let your imagination run a little. We're about to dive into a summary of Ethan Williams' PromptCraft, Mastering the Art of ChatGPT Prompting. Think of it as a friendly chat about how to make AI work better for you. Ready to learn the secret of better conversations with machines? Let's jump in and see how mastering the art of prompting can change the way you interact with AI, and maybe even spark a few aha moments along the way. In fact, prompt engineering has quickly become one of the most in-demand skills in our AI-driven world, and for good reason. It empowers you to unlock the full potential of tools like ChatGPT by simply refining how you ask questions. So, get comfortable and let your imagination run a little. We're about to dive into a summary of Ethan Williams' PromptCraft, Mastering the Art of ChatGPT Prompting. Think of it as a friendly chat about how to make AI work better for you. Ready to learn the secret of better conversations with machines? Let's jump in and see how mastering the art of prompting can change the way you interact with AI and maybe even spark a few aha moments along the way. Introduction. Have you ever asked ChatGPT a question and gotten a meh answer? We've all been there. You type in a request and the response that comes back is generic or misses the mark. As Ethan Williams explains in PromptCraft, Mastering the Art of ChatGPT Prompting, the difference between a bland reply and a brilliant one often comes down to how we prompt the AI. In this friendly guide, Williams takes us on a journey to becoming better AI communicators. He shows that crafting an effective prompt is akin to programming with words. In other words, how you phrase your request directly affects the output you get. The good news is that prompting is a skill you can learn and improve. In this audiobook-style summary, we'll explore the core ideas and tips from PromptCraft in a conversational way, with examples and metaphors to make things clear and engaging. Imagine ChatGPT as a talented but literal-minded assistant. If you give it only a vague idea of what you want, it will do its best, but the result might be as unsatisfying as a one-size-fits-all answer. This book's core message is that clear instructions and good context turn ChatGPT from a hit or miss tool into a truly helpful partner. In the following sections, we'll break down the key lessons from PromptCraft on how to talk to AI so that it really listens. Think of it like learning to speak a new language, the language of prompts, that unlocks much better responses from ChatGPT. Why your prompt matters. Garbage in, garbage out, as the saying goes. If we ask something vague, we're likely to get a vague answer. The author shares that early on, many users, himself included, make the mistake of typing short, generic questions and expecting the AI to mind read what we really want. For example, if you just ask, "Give me some productivity ideas," the AI might reply with a generic list. Wake up early, drink water, avoid distractions, and so on. Tips so broad that they're not very useful. The problem isn't that the AI is bad, it's that the prompt lacked detail. ChatGPT doesn't truly know your intent until you spell it out. To understand why, Williams gives a peek into how ChatGPT works in a non-technical way. You can imagine the AI's knowledge as a huge cloud of information, with different corners for different topics or styles. By default, ChatGPT pulls answers from the very center of that cloud, the kind of response that would be most likely for the average user. That often means a pretty generic answer. If you want something more specific or creative, you have to guide the AI to the right corner of its knowledge. How do you do that? By providing context in your prompt. Context is like a flashlight beam pointing at the part of the knowledge cloud you want the AI to use. The more you narrow that focus, the more spot-on the answer can be. In short, your prompt acts as the instructions or blueprint for the AI. Give a poor blueprint and you'll get a shaky building. Give a detailed blueprint and you'll get a solid structure. The book emphasizes that ChatGPT is not a mind reader, but it is an excellent follower of directions. It's a bit like a very eager intern, happy to help, but if you don't tell them exactly what you need, they'll produce something generic or even make things up to fill the gaps. In fact, ChatGPT can be too eager to please at times, to the point of inventing info if it thinks it will help. So careful prompting also means telling it what not to do or to stick to facts when necessary. The takeaway is simple. If you want better output, you have to ask better questions. PromptCraft shows us how. How to speak ChatGPT's language. So how do we write better prompts? Williams breaks it down into a set of key principles. These guidelines help you speak ChatGPT's language so that the AI understands exactly what you're after. We'll go through each principle one by one with examples. By the end, you'll see prompting not as a mysterious art, but as a practical skill you can apply every time you interact with ChatGPT. 1. Be specific and provide context. One of the golden rules is specificity. A vague prompt leads to vague output. Instead, be clear about what you want and who it's for. In practice, this means adding details like the intended audience, the format you'd like the answer in, or any specific angle you're interested in. The book suggests treating a prompt like a well-formed question you'd ask a human expert. If you were asking a person for advice, you'd probably explain your situation or the exact help you need. Do the same with ChatGPT. For instance, compare these two requests. Give me some productivity ideas versus give me 10 productivity tips for freelance writers who work from home and present them as a bullet point list with a brief explanation for each. The first prompt is wide open and got the generic tips we mentioned earlier. The second prompt, however, specifies an audience, freelance writers who work from home, a quantity, 10 tips, and a format, bullet points with explanations. As a result, the AI's answer will be far more tailored and useful. By giving more context, you guided the AI to focus on relevant ideas, not just the average advice floating around. The lesson? The more details and boundaries you put in your prompt, the sharper and more on target the response will be. Think of it like giving directions to a friend. If you say, "Yeah, my house is somewhere on Elm Street, good luck," your friend will probably get lost. But if you say, "Drive to Elm Street, go 3 blocks north, look for the blue house on the left with a red door," then your friend will find it easily. With ChatGPT, adding specifics is like giving it turn-by-turn directions to the answer you seek. 2. Give the AI a role or persona. Another powerful prompting trick is to assign ChatGPT a role. This means phrasing your prompt to make the AI pretend to be someone or assume a certain expertise. For example, you might start a prompt with, "Act as a knowledgeable personal trainer," or "You are an expert historian specializing in medieval Europe." Why do this? Because it instantly sets a context for tone, style, and the kind of information needed. Williams notes that when he started telling the AI to act as a particular expert, the responses became noticeably more focused and authoritative. Essentially, you're tuning the AI's voice and knowledge to a specific channel. Using the act as pattern is like giving the AI a costume to wear for that conversation. If you ask for advice on a legal matter without any role, ChatGPT might give a generic, disclaimer-filled answer. But if you begin with, "Act as a veteran lawyer explaining this to a non-lawyer," the answer will likely be clearer and more on point, though, of course, it's not real legal advice. Similarly, "Act as a friendly writing coach, help me rewrite the following paragraph to be more persuasive," will yield a response where the AI's tone and suggestions fit the coaching role. By specifying a role, you pack a lot of subtle direction into just a few words. The style, the level of detail, and even the point of view of the answer will adjust to match that persona. It's a shortcut to better context. 3. Specify the desired format and style. Have you ever asked for information and gotten a giant wall of text back? That can be overwhelming. One handy tip from PromptCraft is to tell the AI exactly how you want the answer formatted. Don't be shy about requesting bullet points, tables, or a step-by-step outline. If you don't specify, ChatGPT might default to a long essay-style response. That could be helpful, but maybe not in the shape you need. The fix is simple. Include instructions for the format in your prompt. For example, you could say, "List the main points as bullet points," or "Provide the output as a numbered step-by-step guide." You can even ask for a certain tone or style, like "Give the answer in a casual tone," or "Format the response as if it's a news article." In one of the book's examples, the author initially got a 600-word paragraph when asking for writing tips. Not very user-friendly. By tweaking the prompt to "Give me a list of tips for writing better" in bullet points, the answer came back as a neat, scannable list. This little change turned a blob of text into something you could copy, paste, and actually use immediately. The key insight here is that content isn't the only thing you can ask for. You can also request a presentation style. Think of yourself as an editor giving the AI a template. Do you want an outline, a dialogue, an email draft, a tweet thread? Just so in the prompt, and ChatGPT will try to oblige. It's like ordering a meal to go versus for here. You're just telling the chef, the AI, how to package what it's about to serve you. 4. Iterate and refine through conversation. One of the most empowering lessons in PromptCraft is that you don't have to get everything in one go. In fact, treat your interaction with ChatGPT as a conversation, not a one-shot deal. Many people make the mistake of accepting the first answer ChatGPT gives and stopping there. But often, the first response is just a draft. You can and should ask follow-up questions or request tweaks based on that first output. This iterative process is where the real magic happens. For example, suppose ChatGPT gives you a decent answer, but it's a bit too long-winded. You can follow up with, "Could you summarize that in 2 sentences?" And it will oblige. If it gives you a list of ideas and you want more detail on one of them, you can say, "Tell me more about point number 3, and it will expand. You can even change directions by saying something like, "Okay, now rewrite that advice in a humorous tone," and the AI will adjust. The book encourages using prompts like, "Make it shorter," "Add a real-world example," "Turn this into a friendly tone," and so on. Each follow-up prompt refines the output further, turning a rough answer into a polished one. This approach is akin to sculpting. Think of the first response as a block of marble. It has the general shape, but you might need to chip away or polish certain parts. With each follow-up prompt, you're chiseling the statue to better fit your vision. Williams stresses that prompting is a back-and-forth process. You are essentially collaborating with the AI, steering it closer to what you want with each exchange. So don't be afraid to ask for adjustments. ChatGPT doesn't get tired or offended. It's designed to assist you iteratively. Use that to your advantage. 5. Treat ChatGPT as a collaborator, not a search engine. It's tempting to use ChatGPT like you use Google, typing tersely like "best pizza dough recipe" or "Newton law gravity info." But PromptCraft makes a strong point that interacting with AI is a different game. You'll get much better results if you talk to ChatGPT more like you talk to a colleague or an assistant, rather than a search box. This means using natural language and providing context, as we've discussed, but it's also a mindset shift. Think of ChatGPT as a partner that you can explain things to and brainstorm with. For instance, instead of a bare query, morning routine ideas, you might say, "I'm looking to improve my morning routine, but I often feel low energy. Can you help me design a morning routine that takes 20 minutes or less to boost my energy? Please give me 3 options and explain the pros and cons of each." See how that feels more like talking to a human? In return, the answer you get will be much richer and more tailored because you gave the AI a clear problem and criteria. In the book, Williams shows that when he switched from short, keyword-style prompts to conversational prompts, the quality of ChatGPT's answers improved dramatically. A useful metaphor here is to imagine ChatGPT as a knowledgeable coworker. You wouldn't just blurt out ideas to a coworker and expect great results. You'd provide some background. "Hey, I'm working on X and I need help with Y. I was thinking something like Z. What do you reckon?" That's essentially what you should do with AI as well. When you treat it like a collaborator, you're more likely to get a collaborative answer, one that addresses your needs in a thoughtful way. It's a subtle shift, but it makes a night and day difference in output quality. The Art of PromptCraft. The Art of PromptCraft, Ethan Williams reinforces a unifying theme: better prompts lead to better results. Prompting isn't some mysterious talent reserved for AI whisperers. It's a practical skill that anyone can pick up with a bit of practice. The book is filled with before and after examples, showing how a few tweaks in wording can transform a response from dull to dynamic. By now, we've covered the major tips: being specific, giving context, assigning roles, requesting formats, and iterating like it's a dialogue. Let's take a moment to wrap up with the core message and why it matters. The core message is that you have more control than you think. If ChatGPT isn't giving you what you need, you don't have to just shrug and say, "Oh well." As Williams puts it, often you're not the problem, your prompt is. The smartest AI can still flounder if your instructions are vague or incomplete. The flip side is empowering. When you learn to craft clearer prompts, you start getting consistently better outputs. It's not magic, it's communication. Think of learning PromptCraft like learning to cook. At first, you might just toss ingredients and get mixed results, but as you follow recipes, prompt formulas, and refine your technique, you end up with delicious results more often than not. Finally, PromptCraft encourages us to see prompting as an iterative, creative process. You don't need a perfect prompt from the start. You can develop and reuse prompt templates that work for you. Over time, you build a sort of library of successful prompts for different purposes, whether it's generating ideas, polishing writing, or learning about a topic. The more you approach it as a process of tweaking and learning, the more powerful your interactions with AI become. Remember Jeff from an example in another guide? He spent time learning prompt nuances and ended up transforming how he uses ChatGPT at work. Your journey can be similar. With each conversation, you're training yourself to communicate with the AI better. Conclusion. In summary, PromptCraft, Mastering the Art of ChatGPT Prompting, teaches us that using ChatGPT effectively is less about the AI's tricks and more about how we ask. By applying the principles we discussed, clarity, context, setting roles, formatting, and iterating, you can turn ChatGPT into a far more useful and even enjoyable assistant. It's like learning the rules of a game. Once you know how to play, you can really collaborate with the AI to achieve your goals, whether that's writing an article, brainstorming ideas, learning something new, or just having some fun creative dialogue. The core lesson is that prompting is a two-way street. The AI brings the knowledge and language skills, and you bring the guidance. When those two align, the results can feel almost magical. With practice, anyone can master this art of prompting and unlock more insightful, accurate, and creative responses from ChatGPT. So next time you're about to hit enter on a question, take a moment to think like a prompt crafter. Give that extra detail or instruction. As this audiobook draws to a close, we're reminded of the empowering idea that a well-crafted prompt is the key to getting the most out of AI. Happy prompting, and may your future chats with ChatGPT be both productive and enlightening. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in and spending your time with us. I truly hope you found this summary of PromptCraft both insightful and inspiring, and that it gave you a fresh perspective on how to communicate better with AI. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to us if you take a moment to subscribe, give us a thumbs up or rating, and share it with someone who might find it helpful too. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content just like this, and we'd love to have you along for the journey. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and don't forget, a great prompt is the first step to a great answer. See you in the next episode.